Hello there, my name's Jeff Harrison with MacroMonster.com. Today I want to show you some advanced things that you can do with ecut, and it's a pretty incredible add-on for CorelDRAW that is pretty much limited by your imagination. So what we're going to do is cover some advanced topics that I think will be helpful for some situations where if you've had some difficulty merging things, we'll cover some of that, and some design considerations, and a few other things along the way. So let's begin. So let's say we've got like a business card or like a staff identification card here. And so this is the general layout. We're going to bring in a name, text string, a staff number, and a photo. So one of the key things to watch for is making sure you have a nice clean database, because if that's not nice and clean, ecut's going to have trouble understanding what you're trying to do. So here are the fields here: staff name, the name of the person, and the photo. Now the first thing I want to draw your attention to is we want to have the full path in the database that we're actually going to be using later. I like to use Excel to kind of set the stage for creating my database. And an easy way to do that is to, first create a folder somewhere on your hard drive. I usually just put it right on my root drive so it's not some really long convoluted path. So I'll just create a folder like this, just pics, something like that, or you could call it the project name in there. And what I keep in that folder is the CorelDRAW file for this project, the text file from Notepad, the Excel file, and then all the photos that's for this project. Now you could draw the photos from different locations, and that's why the path option here is very powerful. So for example, you could have some photos being drawn from this folder or from any other folder on the fly. I guess that's one powerful option, but I haven't really seen users use that, so it's okay to just have them all in one single folder most of the time. All right, so let's talk about what I'm doing here and why I've got these extra columns with the path and also the extension. If we were to look at the formula for column C here, there's a special Excel formula there that compiles information from other columns and then puts it into this one. So for example, let's say the staff number changes. So let's say you had the staff number was 12. You can see how it updates over here, and it's going to be looking for a JPEG on your hard drive called 12.jpg, right? And it's going to be looking for it in this specific path. You could have, a whole separate column here. If you had a more convoluted numbering scheme for individual photos, you could do it that way. You could have the photos, instead of by staff number, by staff name. And to simply update that, you just go to this column here. Instead of drawing from A2 there, you'd be drawing from B2, like this. So now, just expand that out. If I hit Control D after selecting some more, it's simply going to quickly look for JPEGs on disk that are named exactly as the staff member's name instead of by number. So it's a pretty powerful way to get it all set up like that. And so when I copy this over to Notepad, I don't worry about copying these columns. I only copy these three here. And I'm just going to go down there. So I've got 25 rows. I'm going to put that on the clipboard. Control C. Head on over to just a little text file. We're going to talk about what's going on with these little bracketed numbers here in a moment. But those are important things to have. We can leave them in there, or we can have ecut create them for us. For most beginners, we'll have ecut create it, and maybe that'll make a bit more sense. So I'm going to hit Control A. I'm just going to paste it in there. We can see that we've got that dev and price thing in there, and that's not what we want for that one. So we're just going to go fix the formula for that column real quick. And again, grab these three columns like that. And usually this little trailing cursor at the very end, I just hit a backspace on that, so it goes back to the last row. I'm going to hit Control S to save it. So we've got 3 columns and 25 rows of data, right? And importantly, having the path with the photo is important for ecut to understand where to draw the photos from. Otherwise, you can have some difficulty there. So I'm going to close that down. We're done with Excel for the moment, so get rid of that. Now we're back into CorelDRAW, and what we're going to do here is go ahead and launch ecut to go to the next step. All right, back in CorelDRAW, let's launch ecut, and it's the little variables icon there. All right, so let's go ahead and open our database. I'll pick data there out of my pics folder, and we've got staff number, name, and photo. Now if we edit our database, we can see that the third column here is designated as a text string. We don't want that. We want that to be a photo. So we just go over to that column, click on something, and over on the right side, choose the image button here. You can see how this column is now updated to images. It's not showing the path name in the string, but that's okay. I know it's in there in our file. Now, if we save the database and just overwrite that data file, now it's ready to go, and it's easy for ecut to understand. And let's go ahead and open that Notepad file just to show you what's going on with the header data there. So you might remember before that when we first saved our data file, it didn't have anything with these brackets here. Once we designated a certain column to be pics, it has a number inside the brackets for certain types of column types. So for example, with QR codes and things like that, they'll have a special number on a per column basis inside those brackets. So I just wanted to show you how ecut understands what kind of information is in each column. Okay, so let's go ahead and assign the data to the elements in our artwork. Let's talk about the artwork here a little bit. What I sometimes do is I'll create drop shadows on certain pieces of artwork, like logos and stuff like that. In this case, what I've done behind the photo placeholder is I've permanently merged the drop shadow. I broke it apart from the shapes there and then combined it with the background element. Now, it might seem that that doesn't give me much flexibility for later for design purposes, but it just makes your whole CorelDRAW file merge very quickly because there's just less stuff to think about. And so same thing with the drop shadow on the logo there. I just separated it from the logo, merged all the drop shadows right with that background image. So I've actually have a pretty simple file here. Just a few vector shapes, some text strings. And let's have a look here. I'm just going to select that image placeholder, go to the photo column there, hit assign shape. That little checkbox tells me it's understanding that that's a place to bring a photo into. Name, click on name and assign for that. One thing to watch for is watch your justifications on your text strings. In this case, I've set it to center justify, so the name that comes in there will always be center justified to this photo. So whether it's a short name or a long name, it's going to be centered with that. Over here, we're going to do something a little different. Not many people know that ecut can merge within a text string, but only an artistic text string and not a paragraph text frame. So what does that mean? It means we can go in here and select those two X's inside that artistic text string, go up here to staff number and hit assign shape. All right. So what that's going to do is it's going to insert the text into that string on the fly. Now, the other thing too is because it's right aligned in this case, let's say you had 1,000 names. It's going to automatically keep the right edge of that string aligned with that right part of the logo there. Just for fun, I'm going to increase the size of the staff number. I'm just going to double click on that text string using Control and my number pad numbers there. I'm just going to bring it up at size a notch there real quickly. And I think we're ready to go. So if we back away a notch here, you can see my artwork is not inside the frame of the CorelDRAW document size. It's just off to the left. I'm just going to select it all. I won't get into talking about all of these parameters here for this particular job. That's maybe for another day. But just make sure you select everything. Go back to ecut, hit apply. And it's brought in all the photos. This is a job of 25 different photos and their names. And you can see, if I just zoom in real quick here, that all the names are centered. I've got the that number came in nicely, and it's a little bit larger than the words there. And I'm just kind of cycling through to see if it came in the way I expect, and it did. So that's basically, hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Again, the key thing is having the path set inside the database for the photos. That's something that people are struggling with a little bit. And, you know, keeping your file nice and clean, your database nice and clean. And just one thing I've done too is, for testing purposes, make a short version of a database, maybe 25 units or something, before running a 10,000 unit job or something like that, because then you can quickly see if something's working or not on a smaller test run. And on large runs, by the way, you may have to break up a job into smaller chunks. Not a big deal. I've seen some projects where they had like 50,000 labels, things like this, and they would break it down into 5,000 or 10,000 chunks at a time. So it takes a little while, but you just have to have some patience, and again, you can do some pretty interesting things there. And I think just to close off, I'll show you something in CorelDRAW that not a lot of people know you can do. I'm just going to go to the Print Preview tab here. The print engine. Right now, I'm just going to close down ecut there, by the way. If you go to the Imposition tool, a lot of people don't know this exists in CorelDRAW. I'm just going to, things like that. I'll just quickly tiles them out for you. Just a quick little thing like that. You can put crop lines on them, stuff like that. All right, so just a quick little thing there. Hopefully that's been interesting or helpful for your own project.